Hello and welcome to Neil's Spanish Fly Box. I hope you're all keeping well. Carrying on with the theme of the early season, a lot of the rivers will be carrying extra water, a little bit of extra current, and it's a fine time to be fishing the Czech style nymph. Now whether you fish it as a larva or as a gammarus, that is entirely up to you, and if somebody would like me to tie a gammarus in the future, then let me know in the comments section. But today I'm going to tie it as a larvae. Now I'm going to give you the details of the materials as we go along. In the vise we have a size 10 hook. Now it's fair to say that in Czech tying they quite often use a size 6 or an 8. But we're settling for a 10 today because I think that's probably more appropriate for the rivers that we have in Spain. The tying thread that I'm using is a camel 8/0, and so I'm going to tie on a little bit behind the eye and create a bed. It doesn't have to be anything neat and tidy, just a bed, because we're going to weight it with lead wire. The thickness of the lead wire is entirely up to you again. I'm going to use something reasonably thick to give it that bit of extra weight. And just wind it on from the start point up to the thorax. Now I'm going to put a little bit of super glue on there to make sure that it stays on, and that will sink into the thread bed underneath. And I'm just going to tie it down. That should break off quite easily. Smooth that off. And the same at the back. And tie that down. I'm going to tie the thread around the bend. Now, as we're tying a larvae, I'm going to add a tail. Now, if it was gammarus style, you probably wouldn't bother, but I'm just going to use a little bit of feather from the base of coq de lion, actually, just to tie in. Wind it down. Trim off the butt and tidy up. Right, now you don't need a very long tail, just enough to give the impression, and don't forget that when that is wet that will go to next to nothing. Now we will be using some wire to create the segmentation. Now, whether you use wire or whether you use monofilament, that will do the job equally as well. Right, let's just take off a piece of wire. Now this happens to be brown wire to go with the colours that I'm going to tie. Let's tie that in. Back down again. Right, now to cover the top of the larvae, I'm going to use some body stretch. Now this is Hens 01, which means it's translucent to all intents and purposes. And you just snip off a strip and tie it on. Now you need to tie it so that it is, mat side up. I'm just going to snip off the end just to make it easier to tie in. Now, the larvae come in all different colours. Now, I'm going to be using cream today, and this is beaver, because as a larva we don't want any legs underneath hanging at the back. It'll all be at the front, so we want it as fine as possible. And just create a nice dubbing rope. See how we get on with that. Wind up to just before the thorax area. Now I'm going to put in a hot spot, so I'm going to use some orange dubbing. This is beaver as well, just to make it a little bit more attractive. Well, hopefully more attractive. That's right. And at the front, I'm going to use a hair mix of rabbit, squirrel, hare's ear, etc., because that's where we're going to be looking for the legs at the front. So with this mix, we should be able to create a leggy front to it. Right, now I'm going to pull the body stretch over. Now I'm doing it from the front, but quite often the Czech nymphs in Czechoslovakia are tied from the front back, so that you tie in the body stretch at the front, pull it back, and then put it down with tie it down with the wire. I'm doing it in reverse, so let's see how we get on here. And I'm just going to pull that body stretch back and tie it in front as well, and trim it off. Right, now I'm going to wind the wire. Now body stretch will move, so be careful how you tie this in, otherwise it will all end up on one side, and that's not quite what we want. We want to try and keep it on top if we can. And create some nice segments over the top, and tie off the wire, and that should come apart quite well. Right, let's just check, see how that's looking. Just pull some of these hairs back. Right, now I'm going to create a head. It needs to be something quite substantial, so I'm going to blacken up the thread here and create a head. Bit more ink. Tie that off. And trim up. Right, now, as I said, we want things at the front but not at the side or underneath, so I'm just going to do a little bit of trimming here. And then I'm going to pick out the legs, as it were. And I'm going to put a little drop of UV on the black there, just to create the head or enhance the head. Put those up. Just trim those up. More hairdressing. And there you have a Caddis larvae, Czech style. And as I say, you can tie them in different colours, different sizes, and gamma style if you want to tie a shrimp style Czech nymph. I hope you enjoyed that. If you are not already a subscriber, please consider being so, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.